Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, presented by the Business Courier, a Cincinnati building boom is underway, and you may be surprised to hear who is behind it. Just call it a garage for the streetcar. We'll give you a sneak peek. And the founder's son is back to take the helm at Gold Star Chili. U.S. Bank Business Watch is next. Good morning and welcome to U.S. Bank Business Watch. I'm Allison Burke in for Peg Rusconi. On the Business Courier front page centerpiece this week, for out-of-town developers, it appears that Cincinnati is the land of opportunity. In recent years, Cincinnati has lured a dozen out-of-town developers from Kansas to New York. It's clear they're here and they like what they see. The lure includes growing rental rates, declining vacancy, strong, consistent job growth, and historic buildings. Projects by out-of-town developers represent more than $300 million in investments from the Central Business District to Hebron and from Oakley to Deerfield Township. Developers coming to Cincinnati are focused on two hot segments: luxury apartments and industrial distribution. The wave of newcomers has changed the market by pushing up rents, bringing new ideas for amenities and design, and giving renters more options. And Cincinnati also has an active group of homegrown developers. One of them, Arn Bortz from Town Properties, says the influx of new developers is an expression of confidence in the future of Cincinnati, something he calls a healthy thing. Business Courier reporter Tom Demeropoulos covers real estate and wrote this story. He joins Business Watch producer Kelly Leon in the studio with more. Tom, Kelly.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks for being here this morning. Interesting article.
Well, thank you.
In terms of other cities, how does Cincinnati stack up? Give us some perspective on that.
So Cincinnati is a little bit behind our peers in terms of the amount of development that's taking place in Cincinnati. You can kind of look at the numbers. We are definitely trailing our neighbor to the west in Indianapolis, and we're definitely trailing our neighbor to the north in Columbus, especially in multifamily development. If you look at the numbers, Cincinnati is averaging about 100 new apartments per year. Indianapolis is averaging about 3,300, so a lot more. In terms of our pipeline of development, Cincinnati has about 6,000 units in the works. Columbus has more than double that.
Why is that?
There are a couple of reasons that's come up, and I think one of the big things is that Cincinnati municipalities, the different cities and townships around here, they're very stringent on kind of what they want in their community. It's kind of a barrier to entry for a lot of developers because they require such high quality products that can kind of stand the test of time. That's not to say that Indy and Columbus don't worry about that, but it's not as stringent from what I've been told from developers who've worked in those other markets and have come here.
But I got the impression from this story that developers really do want to be here, that this is a very desirable market.
Absolutely. If you look at kind of the fundamentals of Cincinnati, our vacancy rates are low. Our landlords are getting more money for their buildings. So that's really what's kind of driving us. They have to make sure that it makes sense to be here financially before they kind of jump in and try to learn the market and get connected and find out what will be a good site for their projects.
Is it a welcoming community, like the other developers and the building owners in terms of?
It has been. I think that a lot of people kind of, some people joke, tongue-in-cheek, that we're going to try to do this in other markets now that these developers have come to our city. But honestly, I think they know that there's a large level of demand for especially multifamily development and industrial development. So no one is sitting on their hands going, wow, I wish we could be doing some of this work. Everybody's very active.
So, and I've got to ask you one last question. So many developers from Indy. What, 6, I think you said? 6 developers?
At least 6.
Why?
There's a couple reasons why I think Indy makes sense. Indy, for whatever reason, different cities have kind of different hubs of development. Indy's just they've got a lot of quality multifamily developers that are based there. That market is very, very competitive. So I think as those builders and those developers have kind of looked at their market and said, wow, we can't really do a lot more here, Cincinnati is kind of right next door. It's an easy drive. It's a 2-hour drive.
Yeah.
It's a good-sized market.
Yeah.
It's a lot bigger than Louisville. It's not Chicago, which Chicago is kind of its own animal.
Yeah.
So they look at Cincinnati and go, and Cincinnati, like I said, is not building nearly the number of units that Indy has been building, so
Yeah.
they're seeing opportunity.
All right, well, great. And it's great to see these old buildings come back to life, so
Definitely.
great story. Back to you.
Thanks, Kelly. The development of the Cincinnati streetcar now includes the project's maintenance and operations facility. It's at Race and Henry Streets and Over the Rhine, and it is all but complete except for a few finishing touches. The facility is essential to testing the streetcars when they arrive later this year.
This facility, as it's built now, is designed to hold our initial fleet of 5 cars. It's designed to be expandable such that if in the future we were to purchase additional vehicles or expand the system, we could hold up to 12.
The facility costs about $11 million of the project's $133 million budget. Cincinnati Center City Development Corporation has a good problem on its hands. It's running out of condos in Over the Rhine. As of last week, there were just 5 condos available for purchase. While 3 dozen units, including some townhomes, are in the works, most of those new homes won't be available until August at the earliest. 3CDC has never been completely sold out of new condos before. Last year, the group closed on more than 60 residential units. That's down slightly from 2013 when 75 units were sold. The 4th largest engineering firm in the tri-state is employee-owned and growing. BSI Engineering is made up of over 100 engineering and design professionals. They have experience in specialty chemical, renewable fuel, pharmaceutical, food and beverage, and consumer products industries. The Blue Ash-based business is getting ready to move into bigger headquarters and has a culture based on the fact that it is employee-owned.
40% of the money that we make in profit goes into the equity investment of the company, so their shares go up there. The other 60% gets distributed to the employees in either performance pay or profit sharing. Everybody's eligible for performance pay, but not everybody gets it. Everybody gets profit sharing, everybody.
Byrne says the biggest challenge in engineering today is balancing execution of projects while supporting on-site manufacturing for clients. Hamilton County Commissioners this week rejected an offer by Mercy Health to acquire its former hospital in Mount Airy. Coroner Lakshmi Samarko had wanted commissioners to accept Mercy Health's donation and use the building for a regional crime lab and morgue that would serve Hamilton and the surrounding counties. Space in the current morgue is cramped and outdated. Commissioners Greg Hartman, Todd Portune, and Chris Monzel unanimously decided that the facility would be too expensive to renovate and maintain.
There's no such thing as a free lunch. Even though the building was given to us free, there was still costs that were going to be associated with upgrading that building to take the coroner's facility or a crime lab or for any other office of the county it was going to put out there. We'd have to do updates to the mechanical systems, electrical systems, HVAC. That cost is what is so driving the issue.
The coroner argues that a lot of what is in the hospital could have been reused and a total gutting of the building is not necessary. Cincinnati is now Ohio's largest job center and generated the most job growth of any major Ohio metro area last year. That's according to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services. An economist with Wells Fargo tells the business Courier the key to Cincinnati's success is that our economy is much more diversified than it used to be, and it's a lot more service-oriented. Greater Cincinnati added 21,700 jobs in 2014, according to that data. That's a 2.1% increase for the 15-county local region. The son of one of the founders of Gold Star Chili is headed back into the family business. Roger David's father and 3 uncles founded Gold Star in 1965, 50 years ago. David worked for Gold Star as a young man, then struck out on his own, most recently serving as CEO of Cincinnati-based Buffalo Wings and Rings. He's coming back to Gold Star as CEO on May 1st.
From a culture standpoint, it's a real delicate balance. You need to really kind of pay a lot of respect to the values that the family has had in creating Gold Star over the last 50 years, but also you want to make sure it's relevant to today's associate. And so trying to draw those connections between our associates, our guests, and our family values, I think pulling all that tighter together is what I hope to do in the next few years here.
David started in the trenches working in a Milford Gold Star, chopping onions and grating cheese as a teenager. 20 members of the Cincinnati Boy Choir are lending their voices to a research effort at Cincinnati Children's Hospital Medical Center that took part in recording sessions that could benefit both their art and science. The focus is how voices change through puberty, which is a major reason many boys stop singing. The boys are 7 to 12 years old, and they'll be examined and recorded every 3 to 6 months until the final phase of changes in their voices. The study is open-ended, which means it could last years. Up next on U.S. Bank Business Watch, it may be early, but we're talking changes to Paul Brown Stadium. And this historic building won't be demolished after all. We'll tell you about plans for this old Sears store. Some news now that's getting a lot of attention on our Business Courier website and social media sites. One of the last available parcels of land along the Norwood Lateral will become home to a $17 million inpatient rehab hospital. Sanders Trust is developing a 40-bed facility for Reliant Hospital Partners. The Norwood Rehab Hospital is expected to open in February 2016. Services will include nursing care, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech pathology, and other services. A Pennsylvania-based pharmaceutical company plans to open a manufacturing facility in Blue Ash, bringing 150 new jobs. Appreciate Pharmaceuticals will invest $25 million in an existing building on Kenwood Road. The Ohio Tax Credit Authority approved a 55% 8-year job creation tax credit for the project. Appreciate uses 3D printing technology to develop and manufacture quick dispensing pharmaceutical products on a commercial scale. It seems so far away, but Cincinnati Bengals fans are going to see some big changes when they walk into Paul Brown Stadium this season. The Bengals are installing new scoreboards, overhauling concession stands, adding some new bars, improving Wi-Fi, and replacing furniture in the club's seating lounges. They're also making major changes to areas the fans won't see, including a renovation of the weight room and training facilities. The University of Cincinnati will renovate, not demolish, one of Cincinnati's original Sears Roebuck department stores. It will become a $16 million research accelerator. The building at Reading Road and Lincoln Avenue is now home to UC Campus Services. The goal of the center is to foster entrepreneurial innovation for UC by providing space for startup companies born from UC-developed technologies. The building should be ready for its first tenants in about a year and a half. And in a surprising move last week, the Home Builders Association of Greater Cincinnati canceled Homearama 2015. This is video from last year's event. The organization is pushing the event to next year because it didn't have the level of participation from builders it needed to make the show happen this year. The association is looking at options and will likely do a scattered site home show this year to replace Homearama. In this morning's U.S. Bank Economic 360, we're shining the spotlight on U.S. Bank client UpTech. UpTech was launched in 2012 to connect talent, money, and ideas in the thriving Cincinnati entrepreneurial ecosystem. It works in partnership with NKU's College of Informatics and provides access to resources, community connections, and the tools needed by startups to fuel early-stage growth. Amanda Greenwell is UpTech's program director. She joins Business Courier publisher Jamie Smith in the studio. Amanda, Jamie.
Thanks, Allison. Amanda, thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
And on behalf of the Business Courier and our friends at U.S. Bank, we appreciate everything you guys are doing in the startup community.
Thank you. Thank you.
So tell me a little bit, what makes UpTech unique?
In one word, more. We provide more money, more services, and more time than the average accelerator in the country. The average accelerator provides up to $20,000 in funding. We provide $50,000. Wow. The average accelerator provides a 3-month program. We provide a 6-month program. So we have, from the very beginning, set out to provide more services, more investment into the companies than the national average. We also see through UpTech a tremendous amount of community support, and that's really unique as well. The community has really rallied behind what we're doing and our mission and our goal, and they really help our startups with any opportunity that they can. So that's also unique.
Well, it's kind of like preschool education, right? You give them more when they're younger.
Right.
They're going to be more successful when they get older.
Absolutely.
Well, tell me a little bit. Do you guys work with other accelerator programs as well in the area?
We do. So Cincinnati is really unique in that the Metro Cincinnati area, Northern Kentucky and Cincinnati, works really well together. About 2 years ago, we saw a need to help people identify all the resources that exist in the region, and the Upstart effort was born, and we have it every fall, and it's a collaboration that UpTech leads and really brings all of the resources together in one place in a really fun atmosphere. We closed down Pike Street in Covington, and we've had about 30 to 40 organizations come together to help entrepreneurs and people who are wanting to start small business to identify what resources exist in the region. There's also a new effort called Startup Cincy. And we have a website, Startup Cincy, and there's also a hashtag on Twitter. And all of the resources in Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky are coming together to help promote each other and bring each other along. So Startup Cincy is a great way for people to understand all the organizations that exist and all the events that are happening, latest news, all of that good stuff.
That's great.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys got a busy schedule of things going on.
We do,
and we're going to have a
absolutely.
full screen here, but talk a little bit real quickly about a couple of the events that are going to be coming up.
Well, you just asked about how we work together with the other accelerators in Cincinnati, and one effort that we are doing is called Innovate Her, and UpTech is partnering with the Brandery, and we are launching a live pitch event. It is on March 9th at the Brandery from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And UpTech and Brandery were recipients of a $50,000 grant from the Small Business Association. And so we're partnering together to host this local event. Innovate Her is a program of the Small Business Association. And it's a way for us to identify and promote and accelerate businesses that help make the lives of women easier.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
great. Well, we have the information on the screen, and the website is uptechideas.org. Is that
That's
correct?
correct, yeah.
So they can go to there, they can contact you and find out about all your other programs?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. Well, we continue to cover you guys and the companies that you guys are helping start out, so please keep doing the great work.
Thank you. I appreciate
All right.
it.
Thanks for being here today. Allison, back to you.
Thanks, Jamie. Still to come on U.S. Bank Business Watch, the building project that can help make dreams come true for sick children in our community. In this morning's Business Insight, it's being called a facility like none other in the nation. Dragonfly Foundation co-founders Rhea Davidson and Christine Knightsky recently announced that the group is looking to build a new space for the group's patient-family retreat called The Landing. Dragonfly was founded in 2010 after Knightsky's youngest son was diagnosed with stage 3A Hodgkin's lymphoma. Dragonfly is a nonprofit that provides distractions from the emotional, physical, and financial toll of cancer and bone marrow transplants, as well as the post-traumatic stress associated with the diagnosis. Christine Knightsky joins us this morning to talk about this dream community. She's with Business Courier editor Rob Dowmeyer in the studio. Christine, Rob?
Thanks very much, and thank you so much for being
Thank
here.
you.
We really appreciate it. First time I heard about this from one of our reporters, I was just so fascinated, and our readers really have been too. It's been one of the biggest stories we've had up for a long time, but I want to get a little bit more information from you about exactly what you're planning or what you'd like to see you said it was called The Landing.
Yeah, we call it a landing because every dragonfly needs a place to land, and we thought that was fitting for our future. But we really needed a facility for families to feel like they're normal, a place for them to go. We have one right now at 6,000 square feet. We have craft rooms, we have teen rooms, and it's utilized by so many patients going through cancer at Cincinnati Children's Hospital. It was time to do something new, and we needed a larger space, so we not only created this idea of one big permanent location, but building a community around it to support it. So in addition to the landing, we're going to have apartments there where the general public can rent and be a part of. There'll be apartments for our families, and then we're going to share community features together.
So Children's is obviously a part of this, and Children's is known nationally or internationally for being not just a hospital really, but for a place that's always looking to be sort of a couple steps ahead of where everybody else is. Why though did you specifically, why did you decide to devote your life to this and really make it become your career?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, our youngest son, Matt, was diagnosed with cancer about 4.5 years ago. And the moment he was diagnosed, those 2 hours of being at Children's changed our lives immediately. So I never set out to run a nonprofit or to do something like that, but when you walk down the halls and you could see the parents' eyes and they were going through exactly what you were going through and not knowing whether or not your child was going to make it, I became very passionate about helping those families and doing something. And it started very small with toy drives and turned into something extremely large. And the co-founder, my friend Rhea Davidson, joined up with me, and we just started it, and here we are now.
Well, like I said, fascinating story, and if you haven't read the story, you can read it on our website, just about the plans that you have, and we really hope, we're really hoping that this can all come together, and I'm sure it will. But thanks very much for being here.
Thank you.
Back to you.
What a great cause, Rob, Christine. Thank you so much. And thank you for joining us this morning for U.S. Bank Business Watch. We'll be back next Sunday and every Sunday morning at 6:30 here on Local 12 and 10 a.m. on the CW. For more business news all week long, visit the Business Courier online and sign up for our daily emails. And follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Our address is cincinnatibusinesscourier.com. I'm Allison Burke. Have a great Sunday.